the biosphere with you today. Before we discuss the biosphere, there are some vocabulary words that you should know, such as the ecological succession. Ecological succession occurs following a disturbance in the ecosystem. So it's a process of change in the species that make up the community. Succession is basically a sequence of changes in the damaged community, and it tries to revive itself because the community has not been inhabited before. So primary succession basically happens after the community has been destroyed completely and there's nothing living there. Life cannot be supported. This usually happens after a volcano erupts and the lava cools, or after strip mining, landslides, and stuff like that. So what happens is it begins on usually a bare rock, and when the rock begins to decay, it forms like a thin sheet of soil. And then over time, wind might carry over seeds that will go into the soil, and because of that, the soil will begin to thicken, and that's when basically it can support life for trees and stuff like that. But then it usually takes a really long time to become a full ecosystem once again, about 200 years. Secondary succession is basically the same thing as primary succession, except that it's the regrowth of a damaged ecosystem. So it's not completely destroyed, but there's still some life growing in the area, and it can continue to revive itself. So this can happen after a flood or a fire or a hurricane. So then this area still has a healthy soil, so it doesn't take the 200 years as the primary succession. It just takes about 100 years. Then the biomes is the earth has 6 different biomes, and a biome is basically a region that is defined by the climate and the plant communities that live in the area. So first biome is the tropical rainforest. You would have seen it in movies or something. But this biome has the typical weather of humid, frequent rain, and most organisms live in the uppermost branches of the forest, which is called a canopy, and there's usually very little sunlight that makes it through the canopy. Grassland is basically grassland. That's easy, huh? But there's usually very little soil that can support huge trees and stuff like that. That's easy. The desert is the most arid climate of all of the biomes because there's very little rain, and the animals, they're usually nocturnal because during the day it's very hot, so they try to conserve their energy and water, and because it's cooler during the night. And the temperate forest, otherwise known as the temperate deciduous forests. So this type of biome has cold winters, cold enough winters that cannot support the trees, so the leaves will fall down or whatever. And during the summer, during the spring and summer, it can support the trees again. So that's when they start growing, and they wait, okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry, I'm messing up. Taiga, as you can see, is very cold and freezing. This type of weather usually supports coniferous trees. Those are the trees with the needles, the pine and stuff like that. And tundra is located north of the taiga, so it's also cold. And this biome is coldest and coldest and longest winters, and the ground is always frozen. And one thing that I should discuss is that polar ice caps and mountains are not considered biomes, because biomes are defined partly by the plant community, and because the polar ice caps don't have specific plant communities and mountains, these two regions are not really considered biomes. And that's basically it.